Hello and welcome to These Two Billionaires, a podcast where the two most attractive people that you can't see right now sit down every Thursday to chat about stuff. I don't really know what the format is, which means I don't really know what my opening is. I'm Joshua Joel, and I'm joined by a very handsome boy.
Yes, that's true. Daniel Willett.
He's going to introduce himself.
Yeah, my name is Daniel Willett.
Cool. A train's just going by. I've got the window open, a train just went past. You might not be able to hear it, but I'll shut my window because it was really hot, but it's cooled down. That's great. What a fascinating opening to a podcast. So, tell me about yourself, Danny. Tell the audience about yourself.
I'm, good looking.
Yeah.
Of legal
single?
age. Yeah.
What's your zodiac sign? You Googling it?
I don't even know what this means. Okay,
Oh.
Yeah, I'll just pick one. Is it arbitrary? I'll just say Gemini.
You'll pick one.
There we go. That looks
Okay.
like a cool symbol.
What's your mother's maiden name?
Righty.
The three numbers on the back of your credit card. It's
Okay.
basic trivia facts, Daniel.
420.
What? That's what mine... Actually, no, that isn't what mine used to be. Mine was close to that. I always got messed up in my head because 420 is a funny number.
It is.
It is. It's a big funny number. So it's a bit of a funny episode because I basically said I don't like the format of the show, so I'm changing it. But then we haven't actually stuck to the new format of the show, and this is like the establishing one. This is the reboot for the new format, and we're not even following the new format, so it's kind of stupid. This is the intermission episode, we'll say.
Yeah.
This wasn't the first reboot episode we recorded. So I haven't published an episode in like 2 months, as I was just telling you before we started chatting.
Yeah.
Obviously we're chatting at the time, but before we started recording, but we were still recording then, before we got to the part that's actually going to be published.
Yes.
I took like we didn't upload for like 2 months, and during that time there was 2 periods where I tried to record episodes, and there was like other people had audio fuck ups, and which just kind of like punctuated the fact I wasn't truly enjoying the podcast. That other key people kept breaking it.
Sure.
And so I wasn't in the mood for a lot of weeks, and then we just didn't do anything for like 2 months, apart from those 2 episodes which weren't published. So if we ever make a Patreon, those will be the first. That'll be the first donation. It's 2 awful episodes. One of them, the guy's Audacity turned off halfway through. I don't know if it's his fault or Audacity's. I know which one it's likely to be. And the other one, like, the guy doesn't have great internet, which is fine. Like, that's not his fault. But the latency at the beginning, I don't know if we were matched up or maybe at the beginning we were synced up at a certain amount. There was like a certain set amount of latency, like we have now, because as we're using Discord, there's about half-second latency, which I just know from editing and from hearing the claps we do to sync at the beginning. I hear your clap half-second after I clap.
Okay.
But the latency shifted throughout the episode.
Oh,
so the back
dear.
half of the episode is like 3 seconds off. Which,
Yeah.
and we could tell when we were talking that we would both be waiting for the other person to say something, and then we would both jump in. Like, I don't know, the conversation fell off. There's just the flow of stuff. You'd say something and you would stop, waiting for the other person to reply, and then they'd be silent for a really long time. And that's because they're still listening to what you're saying. But then you think, they're not going to jump in, so I should jump in. When actually they're responding to you as soon as you finish talking.
I know how
so
that can be.
that wasn't great. And then And then last week, Daniel, we came back. I
Indeed.
emailed a bunch of people. I was like, I want to make a new podcast where I sit down and people who know about something just tell me about it. This is an idea for another podcast I've had for ages, and it actually costs money to like host a podcast. So instead of starting a new podcast, I'll just make Beast and Billionaires into that. There's like when my friends started going to uni, I was like, I want, like, every single person's uni course sounds interesting to me. I want to know all this stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't necessarily want to study it. I certainly don't want to revise it, but I want to know it. And so I thought it'd be really great to just have. My basic idea was, come on, just tell me about what you're researching, or what you're just tell me read me a chapter of your textbook. But you know, maybe just try and be a bit more charismatic than that. And
Okay.
I messaged a bunch of people saying, I pitched it as like, if you know about black holes, tell me about black holes. If you know about how to polish pennies really well, tell me how to polish pennies. Anything goes.
Okay.
As long as you find it interesting. And I got varying responses from a lot of people. A lot of them were like you, where like they didn't have anything in mind right away, but they were up for it.
Yeah.
But one person, Wilbur, they were just on it, and their subject was femboys.
Oh, I remember. Yes, I remember him.
And I told my boyfriend, and he was interested in the conversation around like gender as like a whole. So he joined in, and it was the most fun I've ever had making something, because like it wasn't like in Old Beast to Billionaires, the first 12 episodes, because we'd jump around. Like there was a lot more to like. I think there are like 5-minute sections of random episodes which are funnier than any part in that episode, most likely. But it was so interesting, and I learned a lot about the other people talking. I probably learned stuff about myself, and it was a light-hearted, like amusing and humorous conversation about a really interesting topic. So whilst not laugh out loud funny, it was really great. And there was an audio mess up. Someone didn't, and I don't blame them for this, but someone, it was really, really hot. Last week it was boiling. So they didn't want to, their computer was like upstairs, so they sat downstairs where it was cooler with their iPad and just downloaded like a random audio recording app. And I think it had like a limit, maybe like an hour or something.
Oh dear.
But it just corrupted it. So it didn't save any of the actual audio. It saved an MP3 file that was 0 bytes big, or 0 kilobytes. I'm sure. Obviously, to be an MP3 file, it needs to have some size. Like I forget how big like folders are. You know, like just like empty files on a computer have a file size that I used to know.
It won't be
some
too
stupid
large,
reason.
but yeah.
And I was so angry. Again, not at them. As much as like I didn't tell them, no, I don't trust random stuff on the App Store. Go use Audacity. It was due to inexperience between the two of us. But I was so just angry at no one in particular, because it was like it meant, I don't know, maybe it didn't mean something, because it was 3 people just chatting around random bollocks, but it meant more than like my thoughts on a movie I'd watched the night before whilst very drunk, which is what a lot of Old Beast to Billionaires was.
Yeah.
And it was really good.
There was that sense of personal investment into the conversation, as opposed to just listening to something.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And yeah, I genuinely think that like of anything I've tried to like, I guess it's weird calling it like art, but like art. It's a vague word. It doesn't really mean anything. So I'll happily say of any art I've made, it was like the thing I was most happy with. Like,
yeah,
just in so long, because I've done nothing for years of my life. I was just really happy with it, even though it was just a one episode of an hour long podcast. And man, so that was a long rant, and it didn't really mean anything. But basically, here we are. This is a new podcast. Last week was a really good setup to the new format, and we're now breaking that format. And you didn't even get to hear the establishing episode, because we're not really here to talk about anything in particular.
No.
So, yeah, Old Beast Billionaires, it used to be about a list, a big long list of everything, which didn't work in an audio format. I thought it was amusing. I still think it is amusing. I think the idea of how does Warcraft 3 compare to the Washington Monument is a funny question. Because
of course.
How do you... Because it's like, what scale do you compare them on? But after like an episode or two, I think that the specifics of that, they kind of fade away.
It's a bit like that old meme, which is like, who would win, a million lions versus one sun? It's like the two don't compare, but you're still going to try and put them together.
Of course the lions would win, they just have to attack at night.
It is true.
When the
sun's asleep.
Not so hot.
So, yeah.
So, and we were thinking I was thinking of maybe making it like a tier list, and then I was like, well, that's just, there's no point doing that, and so maybe I'll attach like a letter grade, and we'll be like F, so obviously Billionaires, and we have the E, D, C, and then of course the top B tier, because these are the best thing that exists according to the old list. So actually, were they at the top? No, yeah, I think they were. I think they were still at the top even after all the extra stuff we added. I think crabs. Well, no, it was a combination between being crabs, a bee, unicorn, and Bulbasaurs were all very much up there, but they didn't break through. Neither did me and Emily. Okay, cool. So I'll stop talking about Beast of Billionaires. Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
How are you? How's life treating you, friend?
I'm
gonna take a sip of my coffee really loud and obnoxiously for the mic.
Oh yeah, get that ASMR content. Life hasn't been too bad, I wouldn't say there's been any sort of major tragedies or loss for me in particular.
Developing any situation. Mental health issues in lockdown?
I don't know. I think that could sometimes be a hard thing for the individual to tell. I think sometimes it requires outside assistance to tell them.
Yeah. You have like mad insomnia though, don't you?
Yeah.
And that can be caused by mental health.
Yeah. I've started doing, so I have a friend who likes to work out quite a lot, so he started coming around my house and teaching me how to do workout stuff.
Yeah, because he's trying to be a personal trainer, and so you're his practical project, which you have to do in order to get the qualification. That's really cool. I wanted to get a personal trainer qualification just at the beginning of lockdown when I didn't really know what to do with myself. But there were no physical ones happening because COVID had just hit.
Yeah.
So clearly it wasn't just at the beginning of lockdown. It was after a good few months, but yeah. And all the online ones, they needed like video evidence of you coaching someone, which just sounds really awkward to like set up. You need access to a gym. Like it couldn't be at your house. It needed to be in a gym space, and you need to like film yourself teaching someone else how to lift weights good.
Okay then.
Which was just didn't sound fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's cool. What kind of what are your goals, man?
Well, so currently I'm working in theory that if I tire myself through physical activity, I'll both be getting a fitness element from it, and then hopefully it should be enough to tire me to sleep, so I can do it during the day and get better sleep at night.
That's good. I
Um,
think because I kind of started, and it's basically how I think like most people start. Or maybe not everyone, but like I started going to the gym for like general fitness and not to mess around, but like to hang out with my friends who are going to the gym.
yeah,
And because obviously our good friend Nathan from our college was kind of basically acting as my personal trainer.
yeah.
He was very much like, oh, you can't be coming to the gym to mess about. And it's like, during my time at the gym, I saw him throw a knife into the ceiling and like just like embed it in the ceiling so it held there. And it's like, and he made a big deal about people going to the gym just to mess about with their friends. I think his point was, you can't be there just to mess around. You need to be actually putting some work in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a bit of a weird fallacy.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people, they started going for general fitness in our group, but over time, like I know that for me personally, of course I wanted to come out of the gym looking like the Terminator. Like, of course I wanted that, but I wasn't going to sit down and say with a straight face, I want to get bigger muscles. Like, I was too awkward to do that, and I also didn't have confidence, I guess, in myself to think that was obtainable, I guess. Which is kind of foolish. I mean, I think just because you're unathletic doesn't mean you can't set that goal, because clearly it's obtainable, because clearly anyone can do it.
Yeah.
The fact that you don't already have muscles, like if you're skinny, your potential to get muscle is greater than someone who's already athletic, most likely.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, well, just because you improve more at the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it took me a few weeks to like actually just get hooked on the endorphins and decide that like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna pick up some weights. And I got really into cycling, and then I stopped doing any kind of actual workouts, and then not to say I got particularly muscly or anything, but I lost what I got, but I've dropped like 15 kilograms from the beginning of lockdown.
Oh wow.
I've got a real cyclist body now.
Nice. Yeah, I've seen you cycling a couple of times on stream.
Yeah, man. That's really. I might be doing that today. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what time I have, because we're gonna finish between 3 and 4, and then I've got to pick someone up at 6. But yeah, I've been occasionally streaming those races, and that's really fun. It was sprint day yesterday, and sprint day is normally when I do my short little streamed races. So I might be doing a race today.
Yeah, just don't overwork yourself.
I've started. Oh yeah, I haven't cycled since Friday. I take like the weekend off, which is why Monday is like my big sprint day. Or spoiler, this isn't actually recorded on Friday, despite the fact we said we sit down every Friday to talk and be attractive or whatever. Shh, don't let the audience know.
Yeah, you're breaking the fifth wall here.
The glass ceiling. Now all the gamers will be able to rise up. Yeah, I've sort of routinely, like, I don't know, I'm not like trying to brag or whatever, but I've started routinely being able to, on Zwift, which is my cycling fucking MMO or whatever the hell. There are leaderboards, so they're just like stretches of road. They're not planned races or anything, and you go down them, it records your score, and it gets added to the leaderboard, and when you log off, it kind of disappears. So it's sort of like it's only a very short-term leaderboard, but I think every single time, unless I'm on a rest day, I think for like every day in the last week, whenever I've gone through one and that I've chosen to do a sprint in, or to do an effort, I've gotten top of the leaderboard. And like I've been getting mad personal bests recently. And that's been fucking awesome, dude.
Well done.
I mean, obviously, they're not races. They're literally just like the amount of people who have bothered to sprint that in like the last hour. That's been really cool. I've got a British cycling membership and racing license on the way, supposedly. Though it's been a while since I ordered it and it's still not here. But I might be actually doing actual races soon.
Congratulations. Well, yeah.
I'm really excited.
I'm.
I can't ride a real bike. I've been riding Zwift for like the past year, and I can't ride a real bike at this point. So we'll see how I get on.
When you ride the what's it called, Swift?
Zwift. It's with
Zwift.
a Z. So
Zwift.
it's for cool gamers like myself. Yeah.
Does it move from side to side, or you just turn the handlebars?
It rocks a bit.
Okay.
Which is but yeah, but for the most part, like, yeah, compared to road cycling, yeah, it is just solid, stable, and you're pretty much taking everything out of cycling except like the power down through your legs.
Yeah.
Which is both good and bad, because on one hand, if the bike's rocking everywhere, that's power you're losing. That's not just going into the chain. But at the same time, like, your abs, your upper body, you look at people doing a sprint at like the Tour de France, and like their whole body is like moving the bike and pulling up and into them as their leg goes down. So the bike almost ends up like a pendulum.
Yeah.
And so you kind of sort of lose that. I think there's I think when people analyze like their road data compared to their Zwift data, you will often see that like a 1 minute sprint will be better on Zwift than on the road, but like a 5-second sprint, the road's going to be just like way better.
Yep.
Which is interesting. Which is why I'm doing sports science at uni. In theory, like I don't know if I want to do it. I don't not want to do it, but I've kind of I signed on as like if I don't work out what the hell I want to do in the next year, I'll go to uni, and every day we're a little bit closer to that start of term, and I keep not having any other ideas, so I guess I'm going to uni.
Yeah, but you never know what the future may hold.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be good, but yeah.
Where do you plan? Which uni do you plan?
It's Winchester.
Winchester.
Which is it's really small. It's really beautiful. Like, a nice part of the country. It's extraordinarily hilly.
Yes.
The entire... did you see the message I sent in our Discord server? That there's a building that you go into.
Right.
And, like, I entered on the ground floor, okay?
Yep.
I went up 3 flights of stairs, and
Okay.
I left on the other side of the building. It's not a big building. It's just a standard, I don't know, building. Yeah, it looks like a block of flats or something. It's not that wide. I left the other side of the building on the ground floor.
Yeah.
I climbed 3 flights of stairs, and I didn't leave ground level.
Yeah, so that's due to the hill then.
Yeah. It's really amusing. It's
We
not the
had
best for the fact I'm dating someone, because I'm dating someone who's a wheelchair user, which, not to imply they can't deal with hills. I mean, they play wheelchair rugby. They're wham.
Oh, I didn't know that actually.
I mean, they haven't been playing much wheelchair rugby over the last year, but
No.
yeah, good on them.
Yeah, good on them.
Yeah, I think there's some students who, I think, when I was getting tours, everyone was like, you've really got to plan where your accommodation is in relation to your course, because you don't want to be taking the accommodation at the bottom of the hill, and take business, because business is the one that's like a 15-minute walk at like a pretty decent incline.
Yeah.
It's quite amusing.
Yes. We didn't. I'm at Bath, and we didn't have that much. The campus itself isn't as hilly as, say, you're describing it, but to get around outside of campus, it's all hills.
Yeah. I know what Andy said, but actually, I think there was a uni he looked round, and it was just like instantly obvious that he couldn't go there because it was just some of the roads were just too severe to be just accessible.
Yes.
Which sucks, but yeah.
I remember, I think I might have told you this story where I was at Spoons not too long ago with some people, with some friends at Bath, and it gets to like 1 o'clock in the morning, and we've been, they've had to close, and we want to get back to the accommodation, and it's like a 30-minute run uphill, and we're all incredibly drunk, and we just decide, let's do it. We're not going to take the bus. We're just going to run uphill.
And you ran it.
Yeah.
God bless.
That was the hardest run ever.
Was one of them your personal trainer friend? Was the whole thing a big brain move to get you to get wham?
No. So I had been doing running prior, but it had been nothing like that. It had just been around campus, which is relatively flat, except for some very steep inclines. And it had been like 15 minutes or something, and that was it.
I think making any kind of sport game is like the meta, right? Like, I don't like running, but if me and the boys were to run somewhere,
yeah,
I don't know, it could be fun.
I
don't know what I'm saying.
I started, so at the beginning of lockdown, I did Couch to 5K.
Oh, nice one.
That was quite popular, so I took part in that. I think that's just how I continued running. I stopped for a while, got back into it. I should probably do it again.
Do you do any park runs? This was a conversation I had. I don't know if you've listened. You haven't listened to any of Billionaires, have you?
No, not yet.
Oh, you.
I'm sorry.
Disgust me.
I'm sorry. I'm not a true gamer.
I had this whole conversation with Sam on episode like 6 or 7. We spoke about running and talked all about the park run because, like, as I said, I hate running, and I know that because I ran once a week for like half a year.
Yep.
Because just like pretty much everywhere. There's so many park runs. You can just go on the website and find them just everywhere. And so it was 9 a.m. every Saturday. Maybe it was 8 a.m. But yeah, me, a bunch of people from church, and we'll just go for a run. Try and beat your time every week.
Yeah.
It's like an automated system, so the website like emails you your time every week. It's fun. It's good.
Yeah. So I didn't take part in that. It was just myself running at like 6 o'clock in the morning. But my mum, I think, is going to do a park run soon.
Mm-hmm. I just brought it up because I think it works best if you know other people doing it. I think going there and just being surrounded by strangers wouldn't be too bad. But I think it's really fun having the community aspect. I guess just running with others is nice.
But I think you don't like running. I don't like running in some aspects. So for a comparative example, like planking, the thing you get, and you know how like it almost feels like time isn't passing.
It's time dilation. Yeah, I was about to say.
It's the same thing with running. You get through like the first 5 minutes and you go, wow, this is going really fast.
That went so fast.
And then like you look at your watch maybe 30 minutes later and only another 2 minutes has passed.
Yeah. With cycling it can be so hit and miss with me. Like I basically have forced myself to become obsessed with cycling because I've got like depression.
Yeah.
And I don't feel bad when I've got, those endorphins from it's literally the pick up heavy weight, sad head voice go away.
Yeah.
And some days I'll be like, well, it's long distance day because I want to pretend I'm a well-rounded cyclist. There's a ratio that's like your 20-minute time if you times that by 0. Or not your time, your like average power input. If you multiply that by 0.95, that's like your hour input, and you can times it by 0.95 again, and then and you keep doing that, and each time it's like adding an hour.
Yeah.
And so, in theory, that should just work. I should be able to look at the fact that I can maintain like 250 watts for 20 minutes, and work out what my average for like every hour after that. But that is not the case, because my graph compared to the like 95% multiplier is just so it starts really high and it just plummets. I'm not good for anything except probably because I've been on Zwift. Because on Zwift you can, like, if you're like getting into proper road cycling, you need to like kit up, you need to get your jersey, you need to get your cool cycling goggles on. You gotta set up Strava. You gotta connect everything to your head computer or whatever the hell they're called. And like I just jump on for like 20 minutes, and well, I typically do longer than that, but like occasionally I will, and like it's allowed me to just like do lots of short-term stuff, I guess is what I'm getting at. So I make myself do a long distance, and sometimes I'll be like, the last time I went cycling, where I did like a half an hour of sprints, and it felt really, really good. I'll be like, yeah, I've recently, like my brain has learned like a couple of days ago that like if I feel shit all day and I get on the bike, I suddenly feel amazing. So today I'm really motivated to go and do that 6-hour long route that I've got on like the checklist to do. There's a bunch of routes on Zwift and I want to do them all.
Okay.
And like, yeah, you're like 2-3 hours in, and it's just agony.
Yeah.
And you're like, I started doing this because I thought that like it would hold back my failing mental health. It has not worked. No. I feel like shit. And I feel worse because if I don't keep cycling for 3 hours, I'm going to feel like I've failed my goal for the day.
Yeah.
And of course, I ultimately do quit, at least in that specific example. Which is fine. It's all part of the
learning,
the grind. Yeah.
Bike grind. I think I'm quite fortunate in that I take pleasure in a lot of activities. So there's a lot of activities I can just go off to do and feel happy.
That's cool, man.
Afterwards.
I think a lot of the issue is that I feel like if you're at work or uni, and maybe I'm wrong, which I probably am, because I didn't feel like this when I was at college, although I guess I was forced to be there a bit more. When you're doing something productive because you're forced to, afterwards you can do something completely banal and stupid and feel good because you're still progressing in life on a daily basis, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas the last year, I mean, I have a bunch of creative projects on the go. None of them I'm not working on any of them. I basically spend all day, every day procrastinating, and have been doing so for months. And so everything I enjoy except cycling is something which I do. I'm still doing it all the time for hours a day, but I don't actually get any real satisfaction from it, and hate myself for it.
Okay.
Which is, I'm sorry, I've just like been whinging about my life this whole time.
Well, it's important to let it out every so often.
Yeah.
For someone to listen.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, and I do. I appreciate you being here and doing that. But at the same time, I don't need pity. I know that I'm kind of like actually in like a privileged position in life. So
yeah,
it's good stuff. Man, I had God, I was talking about. So I have recently like left the church over the.
Yeah, so I remember this.
The refusal to take a stance on LGBT issues. So like my church was basically, well, they didn't. Yeah, it's complicated. It doesn't matter. But it's kind of like the idea that, well, either you don't like gay people and you're trying to hide that by not commenting, or you're totally for gay people but you're worried that you're going to lose some of the congregation if you say that, in which case you're not actually really for gay people all that much, are you?
No.
And I talked to a Christian friend, and they were saying like, oh, I'm here if you ever want to talk about it. And I was like, oh, cheers, man. And they were like, yeah. I'm really lucky in life, so I see it as like my destiny to be there for and help less fortunate people. I was like, okay.
I can understand, kind of.
I'm a minority that you're here to help. Thank you for saving me, you gracious straight white woman. Obviously, I get where she was coming from.
Yeah.
And I understand the mentality. It was just poorly worded. It was just, man, but that felt like, that's. It's weird talking to someone and realizing that you are viewed in, because I don't like labels as a thing that exist. I don't know. This is what I was saying last week on the gender thing, and we had a really, really nice discussion about it, about how I kind of dislike labels, and like I wouldn't even want to come out as someone who's agendered, which is to say you don't have a gender, because agendered is still a
label
thing that you are becoming.
Yep.
It's, despite being a lack of something, it's actually still something. It's still a label.
Yeah. It's like trying to think of nothing. Well, to think of nothing is something in itself. So
yeah. And it's weird sometimes just kind of realizing that I guess you are that I'm in a relationship with a dude, and that's great. I'm very much enjoying it.
Yep.
But that is, I am someone who is in a relationship with a dude.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't really have a point here.
Okay.
That's fine. Well, that's the. I should write that in the description of the podcast. Just be billionaires. I don't really have a point.
What was the I forgot what the original question was, but I'm sure it's been answered
I don't know if
in
there
some
even
way.
was one. I brought up, by the way, like 10 minutes ago when I started talking about going to uni and doing sports science and stuff. Like, I brought that up because I was talking about my power numbers on Zwift and how I basically been obsessing over heart rate zones and power numbers and training plans for the last year, and I realized at a certain point that I was actually doing sports science. And that's why I'm going into that. And I brought all of that up to begin with because if I go to university, I'm probably going to get a personal training qualification along the way because I'm doing a sport degree, so that's an option.
Yeah.
Just to kind of finish those thoughts off.
Good.
Because online courses for personal training looked hot garbage, but I'm sure at the uni they'll be much better.
Yes. At least as well you'll be able to, if I think I'm quite happy that my one comes around to my house because I know I do a lot of things wrong, and then he can shift me into the correct position.
Yeah, I think a lot of, it's hard to say. I think that gyms do feel awkward. I think there's a lot of people who are like poker faced. They've got headphones in, they're jacked, and they're just like working hard. And if you're in a machine that they want, you're just in the way of this man on a mission.
Biceps the size of your head.
Yeah. Yeah, they're just like, they've got a watermelon between their thighs and one on each elbow, and they flex their whole body and all of them explode. You feel the air pressure coming off them as they tense their muscles.
Collects the juice from the watermelon, drinks it.
But I think that a lot of people, it is their kind of happy place. And I think they do want to share it and help get strong with the boys and stuff. But yeah, I definitely understand the intimidation of gyms.
Yeah.
I mean, I had that until I went to one, and even then it was only my school gym. But And there was this brilliant like little community there, this little culture. It was really nice. I miss it.
I went to a gym for a little bit of time when we were at college, and a little bit after college, until they had to close due to COVID recently. But
you weren't going to the school gym, you were going to a different one.
Yeah.
I thought that was a strange decision at the time.
It was mostly because of the idea of like, if I go into the gym and then I see you guys there, and you guys are putting like, I don't know how many kgs, but I'm not afraid to say that at the time I was doing about 2 to 4 kg.
That's
so.
I mean, that's fine. Well, I'm sorry you felt that way. That's kind of...
I just didn't want it to be incredibly awkward, so.
Yeah, cool. I have nothing else to say other than like sigh wistfully and just repeating, God, I miss the gym at college. I really did. It's the only thing I cared about for like the last year and a half of school.
Yeah, but I did get told something interesting, and that is
I keep swallowing. So I don't know if the mic's picking it up, but I keep swallowing. I think my mouth's really dry, and I'm really sorry.
Do you want to get a drink of water, or?
I've got some water here that I'm just not drinking.
Oh.
But now my mouth's wet, and now I want to swallow, and I think I've just got like, I don't know. I think I'm just in an odd mood, and so like the over compulsiveness is kind of like taking over, and I my mouth doesn't feel right, so I'm gonna keep fidgeting with it and trying to make it feel good, which it never will be. Sorry, I've stopped you. Please continue.
Oh yeah, I can't remember what the last thing I said was, so I'll just say the last thing that was in my head.
Cool.
So he said if you're training correctly and if you're doing it correct, and if you're just looking to stay fit as opposed to like bodybuild or anything like that, probably don't actually need the gym too much. You could do a lot of it in your home, just on a mat.
Totally. I agree.
But then if you're in your home, you're doing it by yourself. There's no one to talk to or anything like that.
Yeah, I started. I mean, before I got properly into Zwift, I had my little home. I don't want to say a home gym, but I had like my workout space and all my weights and stuff.
Yeah,
it was a good time. I sometimes think about like, I don't know, in my mind, because obviously cyclists are skinny, right? So in my mind, I'll sometimes think about doing some arm work, and I'm like, no, because I'm a cyclist, and cyclists are skinny and weak, so I have to be skinny and weak.
Yeah, I don't know. Break the stereotype, Josh.
Yeah.
Change the world. Did you see the triathlon that Alex Lee took part in?
Is this Olympics?
Yeah. He got silver.
I watched the opening ceremony. I haven't seen any of the events. They're all like, are they all late at night?
Yeah, it's Japan. So they're like 12 o'clock. Oh, sorry, 12 hours or so.
Yeah, I know. 'Cause I didn't know if they're like most of them are during the middle of the night, but some of them are spaced out, or if it was literally all of them are from midnight onwards. But is it the latter?
I don't know exactly when they're on, but I know that, like, for example, people stay up to 3 o'clock in the morning to watch it live and celebrate. So we've done quite well in terms of golds and silvers. But it was a new contestant, his first Olympics, Alex Lee. Alex Yee, my bad. And yeah, he got silver. That was his first Olympics, and he did the triathlon. And yeah, I get what you're saying about, he looks very skinny because he was doing the cycling.
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't have to be skinny because some of the others were unskinny.
No, that is true. And you look at, I don't know if it's just by comparison, but you watch like the Tour de France, and some of those guys look quite butch.
And I think that might be because they just have to try and, I don't know, they're just doing cycling as opposed to the triathlon as 3 things.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's weird because like they're all, it's funny because we do look at like cyclists who are like the best in the world and like, just incredibly fit and strong people and be like, oh, look how skinny they are.
Yeah.
And they're like, they probably like have bigger upper bodies than us and anyone else commenting, but like you don't really see it
No, it's
because
proportion.
you're thinking of them as sportsmen.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Oh man, have you watched any of the Fast and Furious films?
I saw Hobbs and Shaw, I think. Yeah.
I haven't seen that. That's the one thing I haven't seen, but it is on Netflix now, so I really got to go get around to watching that.
But I don't think I saw any of the others, except for that one time during movie night where I joined in late and I saw the ending.
Oh yeah, there wasn't actually a movie night. Yeah, we watched number 8. Man, I've forgotten what happens in 8 already. But yeah,
To
it's
do with
good.
the submarine and stuff.
Oh, it's the fucking. So they have such a stupid hacking. I watched number 8 in the cinema, and I was just incredibly angry because there's two people like counter hacking each other, and
Yeah.
one of them like says, "Oh, I'll do a system lockdown," and they press like one button, and the other person's like, "Oh God, they shut me out of the system." And it's like, if there's one button that stops people from being able to hack the submarine, why is it taped down?
Why wasn't it pressed
why
in the first place?
Yeah, why can't that button? Why is that a button that can pop out? Why is it even a button? Just why is it? It's hardwired to always be unhackable. It was like a Soviet era submarine as well.
Yeah.
I think maybe there was a reason why it was updated, but I don't think there was. I think it was just stupid. I could be wrong. It might have actually been like the release mechanism for the submarine to like let it go and let it swim off, and so maybe
Perhaps, but I
That'd
still
make more
think
sense.
that
It
would
was,
be
like,
more
part of
than
the
one
military
button.
base. Yeah.
Otherwise, someone could just accidentally, drop their coffee on it, and then that's it. Goodbye, submarine.
Oh man. So I just brought it up because I guess we're talking about I don't know muscles and they're
Yeah.
such a good series of films. I love them to death. Are you aware of some of what happens in the new one?
There's a new one?
That was one that came out in like the last couple of months.
Oh, okay then. No,
Man, it's been a little while, so I think I can spoil it for potentially for anyone listening. But they go into space.
Oh,
They drive a car off a plane, activate like a thruster they put on it, and they fire themselves into space, and so that they can like crash into a satellite and destroy it.
right.
So good.
I swear, if the next one has like a black hole converter inside the car, I'm not going to be happy.
Thing is, I want them to. They're just superheroes at this point, and I love it. Like I saw someone compared. I mean, I've forgotten what the character's name is, but he's like a goofy, just like just a comedy character from the first film. Oh no, from the first film, maybe from Tokyo Drift, I think, which is the third one. But he's just like a dude who like sells cars in that one, and like you see him try and hit on chicks, they're not impressed, and it's so sad. And in the most recent one, there's like trained SWAT guys that he's like going toe to toe with, and he's like hacking satellites and shit. I love it. So, I mean, it really teaches you something about like career progression and learning new skills, right?
Sorry, say again.
No, I was just saying it really, it's a real optimistic story. It tells you about how you're not ever stuck on one job.
Yeah.
You want to become an international super agent and occasionally terrorist, depending on the movie. It really it goes back and forth each film whether they're like going against the state or working for it.
Yep.
And of course, every single film they get the one big payoff and they're out of the game for good. Though that's more Vin Diesel's character than
Until the next movie.
Yeah. God, I really want them to like. I've said this before, and I don't know who has the rights, but I think it's possible. I want to see a Fast and Furious and Transformers crossover, and I want to see a Fast and Furious and goddamn Jurassic Park crossover. Just let me see Vin Diesel, like, I don't know, flipping his car over a T-Rex.
Well, the Velociraptors, they were very strong, and they worked together because they're family.
Oh, God, they do be family, though. I just want to see Vin Diesel, like, grabbing a T-Rex. Just look at me. I'm the alpha. I like how I saw this tweet recently, which it was very simple, but it was it's like people who like to pretend they're like alphas, like where the fuck is your fanny pack filled with cheese snacks?
Yeah, I saw this.
Like the alphas look after the pack, they look after their family. So if you're not looking around, looking after your baby boys and making sure they aren't hungry, giving them a little snacky snack, then you're not a fucking alpha.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It is true.
I like how obviously the study that the idea of alphas came from was it was a study of wolves in captivity, and like the guy who wrote it came back later on to say some further studies, and like it isn't real.
Right.
If like if you make people fight over resources, of course one of them is going to be more aggressive and come out of top, and the weaker ones are going to listen to it because they don't have a choice.
Yep.
And of course, like if you like occasionally you'll see that pointed out, and some guys getting really angry about it. I think the guy who runs the show, Adam Ruins Everything, I think his name is Adam.
Nice.
He on like a live event or something. He was talking on stage about how he talked about how the marriages are a scam, and the diamond industry and like engagement rings are a scam, and how I believe he made something on why you should rent and not buy a house and all this stuff, and everyone, and like he didn't get much backlash about it, but the second he said alphas don't exist, he had like a million like frat boys with way too many subscribers like making think pieces or like attacking him in his DMs and shit. It's so funny because they basically their ideology requires them to be stuck in a cage. But yeah, I mean, people can believe whatever they want, I guess. Well, no, they can't. I'm always right and they should listen to me. But aside from that,
on the topic of this, what do you think about like disinformation, misinformation?
Misinformation. Well, you miss all the shots you don't take.
Do you think there should be like rules or laws? Because there's for example private policy, and like Twitter will suspend someone if they start posting bad things. But
I guess it's interesting, right? Because it's like if I decide that if I'm on a playground, I say my uncle works at Nintendo, and he sent me a picture of the Nintendo 128, the next new console, then like I'm not getting then that doesn't require punishing, although it's kind of cringe making stuff up. And yeah, it's like what's the well, now I'm a bit of a naive middle-aged person who's heard something that was basically, some guy had like a bias and they constructed a statement around it that sounded quite believable, and I like said it, but I had a bit of like I exaggerated it a little bit so that in the hopes that people would listen to me more, and then like I guess my point is that the post should be taken down, but like you can't really do anything more than that.
Yeah.
Which sucks, but like it's people just. It's like how I think this is some weird rant I went on. I don't know if it was on a podcast or like to Andy or something in private, but like your body, you're not one dude. You're millions of cells that only care about themselves, but they've, their way of looking after themselves happens to involve them getting rid of the resources they don't need, and sometimes they want to be next to the other cells, so sometimes they'll be stretched to fit, and then they have to rebuild themselves. And you're just a bunch of cells all working for themselves, just following whatever they need to be alive. And like that's kind of wrong. Obviously, they've evolved to not kill the other cells around them, except only occasionally. You know, like obviously, I'm exaggerating, and like you could kind of, if you wanted, you could model civilizations or companies or the planet Earth like that. You know, humanity is a giant system made up of a bunch of individuals not thinking about what they're doing as humanity. They're just individuals.
Yep.
And like, even if a system is really bad and like really harmful, you can't, if there's a bunch of people doing what they think might be okay and they're not really thinking about it and they're not acting in malice, you can't really do anything about it without being a very harsh, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'm being quite vague. I'm not really responding to one example.
For example,
yeah.
if someone says like, I don't know, the COVID vaccine will kill you or something, like, do you think, and they post that on Twitter, do you think there should be something more than just a Twitter policy which says, well, hang on, what you just said could potentially kill quite a lot of people?
I mean, yeah, I think that
because there's two sides to the argument. So,
I think that I think that free speech matters to a degree. I guess it's like, you know, saying you want to kill people of a certain race is hate speech. So why does saying something that is going to passively kill people not the same punishment? But at the same time, you know, free speech is important. Arresting people for not having the right facts is foolish and a slippery slope. So it's really hard. I definitely think that like a lot of these people, the more you punish them, the more they're going to believe it anyway. The big thing with conspiratorial thinking is that the second you believe something where it being debunked proves it more, you're believing a conspiracy, you know?
Yeah.
Then like then you can't help those people, you know? So maybe just like not trying to step into their rights too much, just silencing them on social media where they have the most reach. It might just be the best option.
Yeah.
And it's kind of tough because like there is this kind of like it's slightly a right-wing talking point because it comes from the fact that these people are more likely to be silenced on social media because their beliefs are hateful.
Yeah.
And it's like in the modern day, isn't like social media is the new soapbox, right?
Yeah.
Like I can't talk to my like I can't go into town centre and talk to the masses. No one will listen to you. You'll be like a street preacher.
Yeah.
Like social media is the only thing that exists now. So in a weird way, silencing people on social media is sort of taking away their ability to gather.
Yeah.
So it's tough. It's definitely.
It was only
layers
just
to
because of I'm not sure if you. I know a lot of people don't watch the news that much, but it was just something I saw on the news where they had done mass rallies around the world, like simultaneously, so they could communicate at the same time, roughly.
Right.
And some of them were protesting lockdown, others were protesting the vaccine, and
Okay.
there was like a woman who made some pretty distasteful comments about the Nazis and the NHS in the same context.
Right, just so as to imply that the NHS were comparable to fascists or were fascists,
specifically Nazis, but yeah.
Mm.
And so it was like her son was like trying to tell people don't believe her. She's crazy.
Yeah.
And so he's been asking for there to be laws to stop someone like his mother from doing such things. But I just thought, it's a double-edged sword. You can try and save people that way, but
Yeah.
how many others do you put at risk?
Yeah, because I think as much as, as how the law is written, like your ability to talk on a forum, forums have rules, they're independent, they're owned by individuals or by companies.
Yeah.
So as much as legally, that your freedom of speech doesn't apply there, we do live in a world where that really does matter a lot. Like, I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, obviously, like, in info wars and, TV exists, but I don't think it's easy to be a politician with no social media presence these days.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong there. Maybe I'm wrong. Like, there's always an audience out there, but I think especially for like the young vote, I don't think you're going to be getting them without social media. But yeah, it's whack.
Indeed.
Trying to think if I have anything more to say.
Because I was just looking at some of my notes that I'd prepared. It was to do with this idea of extinction.
Yes,
that
was the one something I wanted to talk about, and I haven't mentioned it at all.
It was just because I thought there's many types of extinction, but I think that misinformation may be the one which may cause the largest amount of death through humanity.
I think here's kind of the during the Blitz, police had to go around telling people to turn their lights off.
Yeah.
Because, air raid sirens were going off. There were bombers overhead. Maybe you could even you would occasionally hear bombs going off in the vague vicinity, and there were people who still had their lights on.
Yeah.
And so it's like we live in a world where, like, yes, misinformation can spread, but like misinformation was spreading before, but it was just the ones decided by corporations or governments. And like, facts can be spread way more easily now. So I don't know if it's an actual, obviously it's a problem, but I don't know if it's a problem relevant to the age, or if it's just everything's increasing. So it's just a factor of the scale of communication these days.
Okay, yeah. A bit like how YouTube videos, like maybe, I don't know, 7 years ago, if you got 1 million views on a video, that would mean the world.
Yeah.
But now, like, you get millions of views on loads of videos. It's like it doesn't mean as much now.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, like I think 1984, George Orwell headed a team, doing like the news in BBC of India. During when I think there was like when Britain occupied India. So I mean, citation needed, please.
I don't think we owned it in '84, but yeah.
No, 1984 was set in the future though. So this was back in like the 50s.
Oh right, okay.
It was like, I think it wasn't too long after World War II. Again, like what I'm saying is true, but the dates are very squiff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was basically like part of his job was to subtly indicate for a trustworthy news system that Britain's activities in India were good.
Yeah.
Like 1984 is based off the BBC, which is a bit wild to hear as a British person where the general consensus, obviously they have a bias because no news can exist without a bias, but there's the general mostly accepted fact is that the BBC is a largely unbiased news source, and it's like one of the most trusted news sources in this country, if not the most. Well, I guess the most. I feel confident in saying that.
I think. Yeah.
And it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
I think we're sort of coming to a close here. Just looking at how long we've been going, we've hit the hour mark.
Oh yes, we have.
Not that time is made up. We could keep going.
We could. Yeah, I don't have anything to be doing. It's just a matter of viewership.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could keep going if you wanted to.
If we don't, do we have anything else to say on, I don't know, free speech and media and lies?
I don't know. I'm sure I could talk about it for
Any
ages.
political parties
but,
who want to diss?
But,
I was about to jump in there with my final note on this is fuck, and then I was going to say a
insert person or insert
yeah, I was going to say
party.
a political party, which to be fair, I don't think the name of the podcast literally implies billionaires are bad. Everyone knows what the vibe is going into this, but still, I don't know if it's the best idea, so I won't.
Well, I don't know.
Man. I can still say fuck Bezos though.
Yeah, I'm sure not too many people will mind.
What did he say when coming back from space? He said that big thank you to every single Amazon employee because you paid for this. And he I don't know if he meant it that I think what he's saying is that everyone who's gotten me this far has helped me along the way. But yeah, he did straight up say that this money could have been yours. But actually, it's mine.
Yeah,
so I'm going to go to space for 5 minutes instead of you feeding your kids.
Every time you pissed in that bottle because you were forced to at work, that was to fuel my rocket.
Yeah, that was another 0.1 seconds while I was above atmosphere. God. Screw that guy. Actually... Man came to exploit Earth resources to build his spaceship. Literally a lizard. It's not human behavior.
Did you see what happened? He declared himself astronaut, and then NASA was like, nah, no more astronaut.
I don't know if he declared himself. I mean, he probably did. He probably did say that he was an astronaut at one point, and I think most people would have agreed. But yeah, NASA changed and I'm kind of glad they did because. I mean, I guess I'm not I've been in an airplane, but I'm not a pilot. Yeah. So either we needed a different term, or we needed to say that Jeff Bezos is an astronaut.
Yeah.
So I'm happy they did that.
I've personally always known that pretty much everyone that's gone to space at least once, in terms of NASA capacity and so forth. They've done it, and they're not just, there for 6 months, they can lounge around and do nothing. They have to do science. Yeah. And so that's what I think they were trying to change the definition from, because now it's going to be commercially viable. You're not really an astronaut, you're just a passenger until you've done a certain type of science in space.
Yeah. God, space is so cool.
Indeed.
I do just feel giddy just thinking about astronauts and the ISS and stuff. It's really cool. Do you know that the first man in space, they named Jeff Bezos' ship after him?
Okay then.
It didn't go as high as he did. It didn't go as far into space as the first man in space got, which I think is quite funny.
Was that Yuri Gagarin, or was that?
I'm sorry, I don't know. The first Soviet in space died on re-entry, and knew he was going to. I think I think it was known by the people behind the rocket that it could not survive, and they worked this out I think less than a week before launch, and they kept trying to push it, but no one would tell the people in charge. No one wanted to be the guy who told. I don't know who was in charge because my history's very bad.
If it's
Um,
68, probably Khrushchev. Oh, I don't know actually when he went up.
and so I think the astronaut was told, and it was like, it was like, oh, do you want to go tell the leaders we fucked up? And so, yeah, he went up. I think he had like a phone call with his wife. I don't know if it was from space or just before he went up. It was probably before he went up. I don't know. But yeah, went up, got to see the Earth from space, and then the ship like broke apart on re-entry.
Sad.
Exactly as it was kind of expected to do, which is it's sad. I wonder if this is a bit of a morbid question, but I wonder if like it felt worth it. I'm sure there's lots of people who are like, because it must be. On one hand, you're just looking out a window and seeing a picture that we've seen throughout our lives of Earth from space. But to actually to feel gravity lessen as you go up and up, and just to see it and just know
You're the first.
that silence that's out there. I don't know. There must be. I'm sure a lot of people would happily do it knowing they were going to die.
I mean, like, sadly, in the for example, in the Soviet Union, when they had like Stalin, he built like a complete cult of personality around himself and around his ideals of communism, and so that's sort of carried through. Even though there was de-Stalinization after he died, it still carried through. And so, like, receiving, for example, awards like the Order of whatever or Hero of whoever. I think it's still like people are like, yeah, this is definitely worth it. Time to 420 this and get that award.
It is crazy. Cults of personality, like, and like I get it, like parasocial relationships exist. I don't think anyone in the modern day, at least in our country, can like deny that they felt parasocial relationships. You know.
I'm not 100% sure on the definition of that.
Oh, it's a one-sided relationship. It's the feel it like going to a book signing for an author, and it's like you're going to see them for 2 minutes. They're going to write on a piece of paper. You're going to wish them a good day, and you're going to leave. Yeah. Like you're not connecting with that person at all. But if there's someone who like you've known their work your whole life, or you just really respect them, like there's this giddiness and this excitement about it.
Yeah.
But you mean nothing to them. And like that's not because they're a bad person. It's just because they're a person. And I don't know, cult of personality is just really, really fascinating to me. And I wonder if it is just standard old parasocial relationship, or if if there's like a science to it. Can you artificially make one?
I mean, Stalin certainly did.
Yeah, I suppose so. I guess that's just
like anyone who didn't like him was killed, and so everyone that was left had to like him.
Yeah.
And then even people that did like him were still killed just because they felt like it. So.
Yeah. I'm just thinking of like, and just like our modern Western politics and so. I mean, especially like Trump. It's kind of known as this guy who's just got like crazy followers.
Yeah.
Even though that applies to literally every single political figure, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I found that actually quite interesting, because the general consensus I got from people who were not American was that Trump is a complete clown in terms of international politics, how we view America. But a lot of consensus from Americans is Trump is, I mean, he got elected, right? So there was a lot of consensus of, he's the destined savior.
I mean, I'm sure at the same time, I mean, there is still those people here.
Oh yeah, there are still a lot of people that support him from outside of America.
Yeah, I wonder I think a lot of it comes from. I don't want to sound classist. I guess that there is this, I don't know, this rural American, like I don't know. I could see how if you live, in the South, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and like I don't know, and like your area's kind of been getting worse economically over time. I could see how someone telling you, like if a millionaire, a multi-millionaire, 100 millionaire shows up and they're like, either you have to see them as the man who sucks, or you have to see them as a guy who's really smart and has a giant business brain. Like if you believe that you could become a millionaire feasibly in life, then millionaires are just people who are smarter than you and they're all self-made.
Yeah.
And like it, and I don't know. I guess I'm saying I sort of I see how some people could end up voting for him.
Yeah.
And I think some people vote for him just because obviously he was racist and sexist and we knew it going into it. But and I think some people voted for him just because he wasn't another like standard politician, I suppose. He wasn't another person who like another slightly right of centre, he wasn't another Clinton, I guess.
Yeah. I know that for some people it's a matter of for them it's not a matter of who is it that's in charge. It's just like, oh, I've been voting for this party for 20 years, so I'm just going to vote for them again.
I mean, the thing is, Trump has switched party a million times because the opposition is always more likely to win in the next term because people get more dissatisfied with the current state of things.
Yeah.
And so, this administration, like the right wing's doing really poorly, so maybe I'm going to drift a little bit more centre, at least in like a two-party system where you've kind of got very binary choices.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it's wild. It's a very, obviously I don't know anything. I'm an idiot. I don't know anything that I'm saying, and I just think it's very interesting, which is kind of the point of this podcast. And I think we got into some interesting topics today. I'm glad to have you here. It'd be very nice to talk to again, with all things, and kind of again like the idea of this podcast and me talking to people smarter than me. It'd be really, man, I'd love to talk to people who kind of are in politics or whatever.
Yeah.
I do actually know. Ooh, there's an idea. I do know someone. We haven't spoken in a little while, but I do know someone who's went off to study like foreign policy or whatever, or like
international relations or something.
International relations. That's it. That's the word. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get in touch with them.
Sounds like a good idea.
But yeah, it's been a little bit rambly. Hopefully I can cut down a bit on the dead air. Well, not that it was too bad, but it's been very fun.
Yeah.
Daniel,
if you ever want to talk about like science, maths, or music or something like that, I have more expertise there.
Dude, I mean, you're attempting to write, following the conventions, write a requiem, aren't you?
Yes.
You're man to the music. You should come back and tell me about music theory sometime.
I will do my best, as I've never been trained, so it's all stuff I've learnt myself.
Yeah, that's true. But either way, yeah, definitely. If you think about anything that you'd love to talk about, it'd be nice to do a slightly more focused episode. Again, not that this was bad at all.
Sure thing.
That could be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Do you know the outro?
The outro?
Oh, you don't, because you haven't listened to any of these Billionaires.
No.
You heathen.
I'm sorry. I am.
Buzz, I have been Joshua Joel.
Buzz, I've been Daniel Willett.
And we will catch you later, honey.
Woohoo.
Mwah.